What's good in the metaphorical hood, my jiggy niggies? Now, on today's topic, I'm about a month late. This happened on April 4th. This story happened. It's about Flutterwave. Flutterwave is a Nigerian fintech unicorn, basically. This Nigerian tech startup, which was really big and basically offers decentralized financial services for its users, and it's evaluated at $3 billion. Like, here's the website, endless possibilities for every business in big letters, nice letters. Sell online, process payments, build financial products, or use business tools designed to grow your business. Really nice stuff. Really nice pictures. Younger beauty. I don't know what that means, but very nice lady looking here. Very nice pictures. We are trusted by 1 million plus businesses. Uber, MTN, Chipper, Cash, which is a fintech company as well, but a different type. PiggyVest, Wise, and Microsoft. Very big names there. Very big names. A fully unified set of payment tools. Then it shows what they have here. And yeah, essentially, it's a payment. It's a platform for helping you pay in different ways, like financial services. And they even offer virtual cards, and you can get a physical one too if you order it and go through the process, whatever. So they offer a lot of services, and they do it very well, and that's why they're valued at $3 billion. And yeah, they're rising. And this was what really impressed me as a techie or a programmer. It's 20 million plus API calls in total. That's wow, since the project has started. I think it started a few years ago. So that's a lot of API calls that their API has been receiving. A lot. They get around 231 requests per second. That's a lot of API requests per second. Oh, sorry, this 20 million plus, is it per day? This is 20 million plus API calls per day. And 5,000 payments daily. That's very impressive. So it's a very big startup company. Very, very big African startup company. And they're doing very good for themselves. Oh, they were until this happened. So basically, this man, who is the current CEO of Flutterwave, his name is Olugbenga GB, that's his nickname. Agbola. He's Nigerian, as you can tell from the name. It's a Nigerian startup, so no problems there, right? Nice name, nice nickname. Nothing wrong with that. Now, this story came out that basically with Flutterwave, this story was posted on this blog site or article site called Medium.com. You might have seen it. This guy is essentially accused of causing workplace disharmony, basically, to an extreme level. There's been general misconduct, bullying, employees alleged bullying, mismanagement, and serious administrative errors, and all other combinations valued at $3 billion. They may be valued at $3 billion, but at the end of the day, they are still a startup. Technically, they are still a startup. They are off the ground, but barely at the moment. So these are very serious accusations that are coming to them, and most of them is about this CEO and his nepotism, including his brother-in-law in the business, which he has done, and the brother-in-law also doing things in the business, bullying employees, having a short temper, etc., etc. So yeah, and it's a very it's a longish article, pretty long, I guess. Yeah, pretty long. I read through it though for you guys. And I have my notes overall of what happened with this whole Flutterwave thing and this CEO, this man. We'll just call him GB, which that is his nickname, GB. So with GB, and the story was published by Abu Bakr Idris, but yeah, Nigerian man. So yeah, and this is restofworld.org. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, so this isn't the original Medium article, which is exposed by one of the former employees. This is another article summarizing everything that's happened in that past month, because this was published 20th of April. The story came out 4th of April. So 24 days after this was published, and this guy just dug deeper, found out everything else, and published it. So here we go. So I told you what the company is and everything. But to go on for more than that, to be very specific of what they're accused of, negligence of duties, sexual harassment on one occasion, consensual romantic relationship with at least 2 employees by the CEO specifically, temper tantrums basically by the CEO again, General mismanagement, as you can see from the headline, there's a mismanagement and wrongful conduct in a lot of other ways. And that's deadly accusations. Again, I reiterate, deadly accusations for a startup, especially an African startup. Um, what's interesting about this guy, what I noted down was he actually has stakes in 25 other African startups. And we're gonna see why that's bad in like a few minutes or a few seconds, no, a few minutes when I get to that. But him having 25 different stakes in 25 other startups is actually very dangerous for those startups and for other startups across Africa, or specifically in Nigeria, which is where he's at. So the girl who first came to expose the story was Clara Wanjuku Odero, sorry, I thought that was a name, Odero. And she was a former executive. She was even an executive of the company, but she came out and exposed this stuff, which is interesting. These same allegations that we're seeing now of this, they were present in 2019 when a former employee created a fake Twitter account and posted these same exact allegations, and the company basically went after all the employees, or a lot of them at least, and basically said, "Was it you? Was it you? Was it you?" Posted information, and then they basically had another company come in to check their behavior, so they can look like they're doing this damage control thing, which they weren't really, because all the employees just stated afterwards that nothing was really done and it was just for show, just for the media. So even though these allegations came out earlier, like 2019, when it wasn't much news then, they should have fixed it then. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a big problem now because it came out hard. The administrative errors specifically that the title refers to. Two of the former executives, one was the CEO. His name was Aboyeji. That was his last name. He was a former CEO before this guy. And the girl who exposed this whole story, which was Wanjiku Odero, the girl I mentioned before, who exposed this whole story on the 4th of April. They were both were arrested in different countries. One was arrested in Nigeria. One was arrested in Kenya. So Aboyeji was arrested in Nigeria. Odero was arrested in Kenya, and they were arrested for basically bad things that happened with the company, and the company not taking them off certain lists within the company, so their names still appeared in certain transactions when it was not supposed to appear. So when people did not get what they were supposed to from those transactions, they started blaming the former CEO and the former executive when they weren't even part of the company anymore. So they both got arrested. The one in Nigeria, Abuyeji, he was taken out of jail. He's fine. And then the one in Kenya, like the people who confused her with the company, thinking she was still part of the company, they threatened her with different things. She was arrested. She was taken to the criminal court in Kenya. I forgot which bureau investigator. And then she received compensation of 2,500, but she's requesting more from Flutterwave because, well, she's trying to settle for more. She's going through the court processes right now, or we're trying to discuss it in her own way right now, because apparently she received such mental trauma from that incident, which I can understand. I mean, she was receiving death threats from people all because they didn't take her off the financial transactions ledger, which they should have, or whichever type of financial transaction list it was. More to that, Olubenga or GB, that GB guy, the CEO, he's like going back to the startup thing. He's on a lot of Nigerian startups or a lot of African startups boards, or is investing in them. 25 of them. So right now, former employees have said, who started their own company, that other investors, when they're coming into African tech, they'll ask you, is GB on your board? If he's not on your board, then they'll be suspicious, like, why isn't he on your board? Isn't your company good? If he's not on your board, then your company is good. Then they won't even invest in your company. And it's like, oh my gosh, so they actually need this guy now to invest more in African companies for you to be taken seriously by other companies or other investors. And that's just crazy, considering the allegations put forth against him, most of which are valid, at least most of which are valid. Now, we need to get into the topic of, that was just a summary of the article, that's basically what it said. Now to get into the topic of what does this mean for the future of African tech. To continue, what does all this mean for the future of African startups? Or African companies on the continent. Thing is, GB, this guy, he was the one who had the biggest startup company in Africa worth $3 billion. Evaluated at $3 billion. And like I said a few seconds ago, because he is invested or is on the board of 25 other African startups or African companies, specifically startups, when other potential, especially Nigeria specifically, because Nigeria has a lot of fintech startups right now, when other investors come to Nigeria or Africa, specifically Nigeria, they'll ask why hasn't he invested in your company? Why isn't he on your board? Because now they think this guy's like the end all be all type of person when it comes to evaluating whether this African startup is worth it or not. And if he's not invested in it, then other investors look at you and say that your company isn't worth it. And that's just sad. That's terrible. So in a way, you kind of even have to, some of them may feel, some startup CEOs may feel that they even have to go to this guy, suck up to him, do whatever he wants, just to get him to invest somewhat, even if it only invest somewhat in your company, so other investors can come in. And that's just dumb, really. That's not good. So he's kind of been placed as this sort of crux in African startup space. Like, he's needed to hold all the machinery together, but he's not. And this is to say that with the current, basically this situation has affected the current environment for African startups. How seriously depends on who you ask. Other people may say it's affected it very, very seriously because Flutterwave was the biggest African startup at the moment. I personally say it did not affect as seriously. Now, why would I say that? Because either way it goes, let's say Flutterwave fails, or Flutterwave doesn't earn as much as they used to or need to, and they start to do worse than they are. I don't think it will make a lot of investors look away from Africa, because Africa is still the future. Regardless, even if Flutterwave fails, even if half of all the Nigerian startups fail, which they won't, they'll do very well, but even if they did, it won't stop investors from coming into Africa, because the market is just growing and it's just too lucrative, and there's just too much stuff to be done, too much stuff to be left out, too much stuff to be ignored, that it won't really stop the investments coming in. At best, it might hamper it. It might stop it for a time, but that time is debatable. Maximum for me, this event will only really make investors question for a max of 1 month. For me, that's my opinion. Because there's literally 30 plus other Nigerian startups just in Nigeria. 30 other tech startups just in Nigeria. So for them to just look at this situation, which is a very serious situation, but it's not the worst that could have happened, and not invest in Africa, would be crazy. That would be a huge fumble. That would be a huge fumble of the bag. That's to say money. You lose out on a lot of money. I don't think this will affect the future of African tech or startups very much, this event. In fact, we're more likely to see more events like this with people, CEOs, CTOs, etc., employees getting exposed in such manners as we see more startups grow. And that's just how it is. These things will continue. They will lessen over time, but they will still be there and won't stop investors, because at the end of the day, there's too much money to be made from these companies. Especially with something like Flutterwave. I mean, it's making a lot of money. Investors won't just turn a blind eye to that. I mean, that'll be stupid. That'll be really stupid. And keep in mind, even if, let's say they do take it to, let's say all investors, take it to a very, very serious extent, and they don't invest very heavily in startups like Flutterwave, then that just means they won't invest very heavily in fintech startups specifically. There's other type of startups, not just fintech startups. I mean, fintech are the majority of startups, yes, because the financial infrastructure in Africa, most African countries, is so bad. Flutterwave, companies like Flutterwave are necessary and necessary to grow. But even if they don't invest in companies like Flutterwave, there are other companies. There are other startups. They are. There's music startups. There's one as a startup in Malawi for music. There's a startup in Malawi for health. There's a startup in Zambia for I forgot what it was, but there's another startup for something. There's startups across the continent for different things, different tech related things, not just financial technology. Financial technology is just the biggest one. It's not the end all be all. It's just gonna be the biggest one for the next probably 15 to 20 years. 10 to 15 years, not 15 to 20. 10 to 15 years, maximum 10. A lot of these African countries are getting their shit together, so maximum 10. But even then, when the financial infrastructure for a lot of these African countries finally reaches where it's supposed to be, a lot of companies like Flutterwave will actually lose a lot of momentum and will actually like stagnate. But currently, they're going to make a lot of money, but doesn't mean they're the only startups. There's other startups going across the continent, so that's just something to keep in mind. This will only marginally, in my opinion, affect African startups in the short term, if at all. So yeah, that's it for me, and thanks for watching, and I'll check you guys later.